All right, here we are, guys, and we are rocking and rolling. Always great to be with everybody here on Minds and Markets. I am live down here on the floor of the SIBO in the S&P 500 options pit. And yes, it is busy today. I don't know if you guys can hear the noise behind me right now, but it is loud. There are lots of trades going on. We're actually going to talk in a little bit why we need these folks back here, why it's imperative for the markets that these guys are back here. But quick market update here. Yes, we know big rally, and this is coming off an overnight session last night that was very, very weak on the heels of the NVIDIA earnings that came out. And we'll talk about NVIDIA as well. Overnight, at one point, I saw S&Ps down about 35 points on their lower. So, while right now we're just off our highs of the day. Just a few minutes ago, we were up about 50 some odd points on S&Ps. We're up 45 right now. VIX is getting sliced and diced. It's down almost $2. It's down $1.80 today, down to some very, very big support again, which I'll show you on some charts here pretty soon. But one thing I really want to talk to you about right now, when we were here Tuesday together, and I was talking about how Labor Day week is traditionally the lowest volume week of the year. And I said I was seeing different things here. Things were busy. Volume was happening. And that was because, yes, we had NVIDIA, and we also have tomorrow the PCE report, the Fed's preferred eco data inflation gauge. So, is it busy? Yes, it is busy. Right now, there are almost 900,000 S&P options, or excuse me, S&P futures that have traded. Typical average day, we see about 1.5 million. So this is well above average right now. On a normal holiday shortened week, like what we're coming into, where this would be a real slow week, we'd maybe see 500,000 contracts at this point. So it is very, very busy. I'm going to give you guys a quick pan here. Again, I'm not sure if you can hear what's going on, but it is really busy. And I know on Tuesday I panned out to the big board up here, and it was not working. So I'm going to show you guys right now. Danny, did I just lose? Oh, hang on. Hang on. There we go. I got it. I got it. I got it. Okay. Yes, they're obviously watching golf over there. That's a other TV, but there we go. This is listing every trade live as it's happening in the S&P 500 options pit. Okay, at the top there we can see ESU4. So that is the current ES, so S&P mini future. Okay, that is the S&P future trading 56.56. The cash, which is underneath that, if you can look right under where it says ESU4, it says $SPX. That's the cash S&P. That's 56.39 right now. And then underneath that, where it says $VIX, that's the VIX trading 15.29. So going back to the very top there, you can see day change 46. So in the green, up 46 points. And there's that volume I was talking about, 877,000 contracts. That is very busy for this time of day. If something really big pops up here, I'll go back to that, guys, and I'll show you what is trading here. But now let's get to the topic at hand here. Let's first talk about NVIDIA. Let's put the charts up here in NVIDIA. Let's get this thing expanded. Okay. Why is NVIDIA down? Everybody's asking that. They had a really solid earnings report. They beat on the top line. They beat on the bottom line. Guidance was really good. They made $32.5 billion last quarter. Estimates were they were going to make 31.7. So they beat that handedly. Handily. Their gross margin was better than expected. Okay? So this is an unbelievable report. Why is the stock down? Well, there's two reasons. Okay, one maybe makes sense and one, maybe not so much. One, there was something in their report where they talked about their new processors that are coming out. It's called Blackwell. I don't even know who that's named after. In fact, the only Blackwell I know of is, and I was a big wrestling fan growing up. I don't know if any of you were. Even before the WWF and the WWE, there was the AWA with Dick the Bruiser and Baron von Raschke and all sorts of characters. Well, there was a big 480-pound wrestler from Stone Mountain, Georgia, called Jerry Blackwell. That was his name. So I don't know if these things are named after him or not. But anyway, their new processor coming out, NVIDIA said that, you know what, they may have some delays. They may have some issues in the production of this chip. So the street probably looked at that and said, you know what? That's not so great moving forward. Maybe that's going to hit some profitability or at least delay profitability going forward. So the market didn't really like that. I actually think it's more a case of buy the rumor, sell the news. We see that happen so often in the market when there's a lot of hype for something, for a stock, for a product, a lot of hype ahead of a Fed meeting or something, and people are, really optimistic, or the other way, could be the other way as well. And so they were buying into this, and even though things were great, they just weren't good enough to satisfy what the street wanted. So that's why we're seeing NVIDIA down. This is nothing of a move, guys. The option market was pricing in almost an 11% move in NVIDIA. The most I think it's ever been over the last 3 or 4 years. So I think it was the last 12 quarters, 14 quarters. The average expected move was right about 7.5%. This was like an 11% expected move. It was massive. What are we down today? 3%, 4%? I don't know, something like that. So, if you were a seller of premium last night going into the print here, you cleaned up pretty good. If you were a buyer, I know, I had some students asking yesterday, should we buy straddles going into, the NVIDIA print? I'm like, no, don't buy straddles. Don't buy straddles. If you're going to, make sure you're selling something against it. Because if you don't get that massive move, you are going to get annihilated. So any premium sellers, that was a good thing in NVIDIA. Now, let's look at some of the technicals here in NVIDIA. And I'm going to really hone in here now. Okay, look at down here, right here. Okay, and we went through this the other day as well. But now that the earnings are out, now that the big expectations are out, okay, I really want to highlight this. So if we look right there, that red line, this red line coming across here, that's the 50-day moving average. Now, what we're looking at right here, this is a 3-month look at NVIDIA. Okay, if I look at this right here, the 50-day doesn't do a lot for me, right? We can see that, in fact, it broke through here. Excuse me. It broke through here just a short while ago, right before the big collapse in the market, and then roared back. But let's broaden this out a little bit. Let's widen this out a little bit here. Now we've got a 6-month look, and the last time it was at the 50, yeah, it dipped below, but boy, did that area hold and skyrocketed. Okay, now let's take a little bit further look back. Okay, now we've got a 1-year look. Again, the same thing in here, held for support. The same thing here, held for support. The same thing here, held for support. Okay, so if I'm looking here, guys, this area right here, even though it traded below last night, okay, and you can't really, count the overnight session when, markets aren't as liquid, even in a stock like NVIDIA. But that 50-day moving average right now is 120.76. 120.76. 120.76. We're trading just above that right now. I'm not telling you that 120.76 is going to be the bottom in NVIDIA, okay, because we've seen that it can obviously trade through that, okay? But if I'm looking longer term, I'm not talking about just a day or a week, or if I'm looking longer term here, like for potentially a portfolio, I got to look at this and say, boy, I'd be pretty bullish here. I'd be pretty bullish. Now, why is the market responding so well today? Okay. NVIDIA, for those of you that don't know, NVIDIA makes up 6% of the S&P 500. NVIDIA is bigger. NVIDIA alone by itself is bigger than, I believe it's 5 entire S&P 500 sectors, all the stocks in some other sectors. It is a massive part of the entire market. So why are we up? Why is the overall market up today? Well, you know what? This is a really positive sign for the market that the biggest stock that's out there, the biggest stock that's out there can get hit, have a sell-off, but yet the rest of the market is kind of shrugging it off. That to me also says the market believes NVIDIA is going to come roaring back. So I think this is a real positive for the market here, guys. What would have happened if we saw NVIDIA up 5, 10, 15%? I don't know. But I think the fact that it is down, the rest of the market is acting well. Boy, oh boy. That is it's surprising to me, quite honestly. It's surprising to me. I think it's catching a lot of traders off guard too, because I talked to a bunch of these guys here before we came on live, and I asked them, what they thought would have happened to the market today if NVIDIA was down. And every single one of them said, yeah, we're going to be down. Market's gonna follow along. Hey, John, I know you're asking about a gap. Let me pull that open today and see, or pull this back open and see what gap you're referring to. John Berg, what gap are you referring to here? Just from where it closed last night? So it closed last night at 125.60 or so. Is that the one you're yesterday and today? Okay. Is it going to recover that? Over the next few days, I don't know. Do I think it's going to recover it? Yes. And if you also look here, there's a lot of resistance, right? Over since the big drawdown here, and we made this rally back, there's a lot of resistance right up here at 128, 129 area. If this thing does fill that gap and then moves higher, boy, if it breaks through 128, 129, guys, it's a moonshot. It's a moonshot. All right. Another thing I want to talk about that is on my list today. Why do we need this? We all have the flexibility. We all have the accessibility to trade at home in our boxer shorts and t-shirt and have lightning fast speed to get into the markets. The electronic world obviously has transformed trading. Why? Why do we need what's going on behind me here? Anybody have any good reason? Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Anybody have any good reason why we still need live, open, outcry trading? Besides the fact that, CBOE, CME, they get revenue from it, obviously, but why do we need it? And I believe it's imperative. Scott Chase, that's a good one. Transparency. John Berg, speed. What else, guys? What else? And I want you to keep going. These are really good answers. Need the human element. Wayne, excellent. LJ for special orders. Absolutely. You guys have no ideas. No idea how many what's called complex orders are sent that computers can't look at them. People sitting behind computers can't look at them. Okay, market makers, liquidity, you get to press the flesh. Okay, yes, those are all great answers, but let me explain something else to you. Okay, and I know this obviously firsthand as being a trader on the floor for 20 plus years and having to adhere to the same exact rules as these guys. In fact, I traded in this pit for a very long time when I was a vice president at Goldman Sachs. So I traded with a lot of these same folks right here. Market makers cannot run away. Market makers cannot flip the switch on their computer and say, I'm done. I'm not taking the risk here. There is no way I can do that. Market makers who are standing in the pit here are obligated by law, to uphold the markets that are posted on the screens and that are disseminated out to all of us. So for instance, let's go right now. I'm going to pull up SPX on here. Okay, and this is the SPX. This is the S&P 500 options pit we're looking at. Okay, that's what's right behind me here. And I'm just going to, do a sampling here. Okay, let's see. We're trading 56.51. Let's do something that is maybe a little bit more delta, a little bit more risky, a little bit further in the money. Let's say there was a buyer. Okay, could be a big firm, a bank, whatever it is. Let's say there was a big buyer that wanted to come in and buy some calls that are 200 points in the money. Okay, so the 5450s, S&Ps are trading 5650-ish right now. Okay, you can see these things are trading, $185. Well, that's a lot of risk, right? We're talking about literally, that's just like buying an S&P future outright. It's a 100 delta option. Okay, well, if we're trading on the screens here, maybe you and me and everybody else trading on the screens, they don't want to take the risk because that is, by the time you go get a hedge, that could be really a painful trade. But if an order comes into the pit here, okay, whether it's an order for a one lot or it's an order for 100 or 500, every single market maker here has to, by law, honor that market for 10 contracts. 10 contracts on their bid, 10 contracts on their offer. So now let's imagine, and excuse my language here, guys. It's a good thing I'm not being censored by the FCC or anything. Let's say volatility is going nuts and the shit is hitting the fan. Just like 3 weeks ago, okay, when the market was in a tailspin, the market was in a dive. Okay, again, all of us, if we didn't want to take the risk, if we didn't want to, trade, sure, close our laptops, turn the button, hit the off button and go away. These guys can't do that. They cannot do that. So I have always said from the time that electronic trading, it is busy. I have always said from the time electronic trading started in the early 2000s, and everybody was concerned, and yes, it absolutely changed the landscape. It absolutely changed the way that we all trade. But I always said for that reason and that reason alone, there's no way that we could ever get rid completely of live trading, of open outcry. Okay, so just keep that in mind, guys. When people always want to bash the market makers, right? It's always the market makers' fault. I didn't get filled, those damn market makers, they manipulate the markets, blah 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 blah. No, it's not like that. Every trader here is obligated by law to uphold these markets. They can't run away. And again, I cannot emphasize enough to any of you, if you have never seen this live in action, and I know you're getting a glimpse here, but if you have never seen this happening live in action, guys, if you're interested in economics, if you're interested in finance, if you're interested how global finance works, if you're interested in capitalism, you got to come down here and see this live for yourself. And I am happy to bring you down here as my guest anytime. Obviously, you have to be in Chicago to do that, but I am happy to bring you down here. Okay. If anybody has any questions on how the live markets work, put it up here in the chat. I'll be happy to answer it. The Galloper, I remember you from the other day. We talked about your position. So I'm glad. I'm glad that you sold those calls, collected some premium. Nicely done, man. Way to take advantage of that. That's what this Minds of Markets here is all about, guys. Get inside my mind. Get inside of Mike Shore or Charlie Moon's mind when they are here. Okay? Because we live and breathe this stuff. We live and breathe this stuff. We're not always going to be right, but we certainly can help with suggestions of things. Speaking of which, and just a little sidebar here, for any of you interested, tonight, Mike Shore is doing a live webinar at 7 o'clock. When we do our webinars, guys, and we do them frequently, they're always live. They're not recorded. So anybody that is interested in hearing what Mike has to say, how Mike trades short-term options, you want to tune in tonight. It's not a long webinar, okay? You can hit the link right there. It'll get you in tonight at 7 o'clock Central Time. Absolutely, John. Hit me up anytime. You guys know where to reach me. Wayne Bunker, do they still use paper slips like they did in Trading Places? They don't here any longer. They don't here, though, I'm going to pan this here. The market makers don't. They all have, like here, this is my iPad right here. Okay, this is my iPad. They all have their tablets that they're trading on. However, the brokers, let me see if I can pan. Danny, can we zoom this at all? I don't know if you guys can see. Okay, don't go too close. I don't know if you guys can see, but right there, there's like a tray and there's a stack of paper tickets. Those are filled trades from the broker. Okay, those are filled trades from the broker that do still get handed in to the exchange. Believe it or not. Yes, it seems archaic, but it is efficient. Now, there is one trading pit left in this building. This is where I'm standing right here. This is the S&P 500 options pit at the CBOE, Chicago Board Options Exchange. We are physically located in the Chicago Board of Trade building. Okay, we used to be across the street. In this building is also the CME trading floor. Okay, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange trading floor. Now, only one pit is still open with live open outcry on the CME trading floor, and that's the Euro dollar options pit. Okay, it's in a different part of the building here. They still hand card every trade they make. They're circling an expiration date. They're writing down a strike. They still hand card them. And you guys would be just blown away to know how efficient it is, as archaic as it is, how efficient it is. And when there's ever a discrepancy of a trade between a broker and a market maker, or maybe two market makers or whatever it is, if there's ever a discrepancy as to quantity of contracts, maybe the wrong strike price, maybe the wrong transaction price, dollar price, they get resolved immediately. It's called an out trade if the trades don't match up, and they get resolved immediately. You guys just cannot believe how efficient it really is. Okay, and I'm 100% sincere about that offer of bringing anybody down here. I love doing it. I love doing it because it's, if you've never done it, it's awesome. So I know I've mentioned this before, but those of you that are new watching in, got the S&P 500 option pit right here, and then just over to my, I'm pointing out there, that's like 1, 2 o'clock, 1:30 or so. That is the VIX pit. This is the only place in the world that VIX options trade. besides electronically, but right here. And then next to the VIX pit over there about 2, 3 o'clock is the Russell pit. So those are the um, three open outcry pits that are still available. And that's still, Ray, let me see if I can give you, um, let's see, Danny, can I make this? Can I make, like I do, hang on. I think I can make myself full screen. Let me get off this. Hang on. As you guys know, I'm pretty computer illiterate. So there we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Now this is going to be better. Okay. Right there. Okay. See that guy walking towards me right now? Just next to him is that kind of metal file box I was talking about that has the paper tickets to it. Okay. And then, Danny, if you don't mind moving, because I'm going to pan the camera your way. So right through there, guys, underneath those screens that are hanging up there, right through there, that's the VIX pit. That's the VIX pit. And then, oh, hang on. Watch this. You're going to watch live trade here, guys. I just heard a broker offer or asking for a market. I didn't pick up on which put. Okay, the broker is at 90. Broker's at 90. The market makers are 80 bid. Okay, he's selling some puts at $8.90. The brokers or the market makers are $8.80 bid. Now, you might be able to see that hand raised in the background there? See that hand raised? And guy was doing this. Okay, this stands for 8 or 80. Okay, this hand signals are still used. This stands for 80. So what that market maker is doing is he's showing his 80 bid. The broker is at 90. Market makers are 880 bid, brokers at 890. Again, you talk about price discovery. You talk about getting the best price. This is seriously, guys, an open outcry auction market. There's nowhere else in the world. Oh, okay. So the market makers all just paid up to the broker's offer because, let me ask you guys something here, okay? If they were all buying puts, okay, the broker was offering puts, the market makers didn't want to pay the price, sorry, I'm adjusting my camera, didn't want to pay the price that the broker was offering at, but then all of a sudden they wanted to. What do you think happened? What may have made the market maker say, okay, I'm going to pay 10 cents more? If you're buying a put, what is typically happening in the market? S&P's probably ticked. They did. S&P's ticked down, 25 bips, 50 bips. So it made those puts worth more. So the market makers, there you go, Joselito, very good. The market makers had their hedge in. Okay, exactly, Nagal. And again, Nagal, you got to tell me how I should pronounce your name. I don't want to butcher it, and I apologize. You just let me know. But yeah, that's exactly what happened, guys. You just saw live in action what just transpired there. Shiva, you got it. That'll be an easy one to remember. Okay, you guys just saw live in action what goes on here. And when I used to be down on the floor here, guys, I was here 8:30 to 3 o'clock, never left the floor unless it was an emergency, because as a market maker, you never know when that next order is coming in that can make or break your day or your week or something that you really need to trade. So I was definitely known for never leaving the pit unless I really had to. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this today. This is what this is all about. This is what Minds and Markets is all about. Getting into the real side of trading, not just the theoretical side, getting into the real side of trading. And you can tell how juiced up I am about this too. So thank you, everybody. Don't forget about Mike Shore's webinar tonight. If you guys are interested, Danny, if you could put that link up there again. Oh, there we go. John Berg. I'm in Mike Shore's short-term program. Scalping is worth learning. Yeah, it's a different kind of trade, but if that's something, that you're into that kind of trading, or that's the style you want, there's nobody better than Mike Shore. So I really appreciate everybody being here, guys. I am going to run back upstairs, and then so it's 12:30 right now. At 2 o'clock, in an hour and a half, I am going to be standing right below those two big TV screens in the back over there for a live interview on Fox Business. So you can tune into Fox Business at 2 o'clock Central Time. Have a great one, everybody, and we'll see you later on.